Next, we'd like to examine with you 4 ways in which all of us have to keep on guard in our conduct with others. First, it's necessary to avoid flirting, whether the other person is single or married. Now, what would you describe as flirting? Put simply, it's treating someone as if you're interested in marriage when you're really not. Could persons of the same sex start to flirt? Consider a situation. A group of single brothers has a meal together, and after most leave, 2 of them remain behind in the room drinking alcohol. At one point, one asks the other if he has ever woken up with an erection. Their conversation starts to touch on sexual matters. Are they flirting? Their conversation can arouse sexual desires in them, even though they're of the same sex. This could easily lead to comments or curiosity about each other's bodies. Don't deceive yourself thinking this could never happen. Keep in mind that alcohol tends to lower your inhibitions and can make thoughts that you'd normally suppress or view as repulsive seem acceptable, even inviting. But keeping in constant contact with a sister you're interested in and without taking the proper precautions can be like throwing gasoline on that spark, turning it into something destructive. For example, can you see how the brother in the following situation has let his guard down? While video chatting with his girlfriend, they start making some references to sexual subjects. He ends up becoming aroused, and after they finish their conversation, he masturbates. The next time they speak, the conversation goes further and becomes sexually explicit. Now, both start masturbating while connected, but without exposing themselves to one another. Now, obviously, at this point, both need to get help from the elders because their conversations are becoming more and more unclean. They're on the express route to sexual immorality. But what should he have done to be on guard and not let things get to this point? At 1 Timothy 5, verse 2, Paul told Timothy to treat all his Christian sisters with all chasteness. You need to do the same, especially towards a sister you have a romantic interest in. Be aware of the danger and keep your conversations clean. Make spiritual matters a regular part of your communication. Avoid communicating late at night when you might be more likely to let your guard down. In doing so, you demonstrate that you're a spiritual man capable of caring for your prospective mate's relationship with Jehovah. Next, we'd like to help you to clearly understand what the Bible means by the phrase sexual immorality, a very serious sin that can quickly destroy your relationship with Jehovah. In the Greek scriptures, that phrase is used to translate the original word porneia. What does that mean exactly? Porneia is sexual relations involving persons not married to each other. It includes acts such as oral sex, anal sex, and masturbating another person. It always involves deliberate manipulation of the genitals and at least one other person or animal. When a Christian commits porneia, the elders always have to provide assistance. Do the genitals of both need to be manipulated for there to be porneia, such as when two people have sexual intercourse? No. Both oral sex and anal sex involve the manipulation of the genitals of only one person. Does manipulation of the genitals always involve the use of the hands? Not necessarily. For example, suppose a brother pays a stripper to perform a lap dance that lasts several minutes. She grinds her clothed genitals on his leg while he's fully clothed. He becomes aroused but doesn't ejaculate. Was that porneia? His genitals aren't being manipulated, and he's not touching the woman's genitals with his hands. However, he is committing porneia by allowing her to use his leg to stimulate her own genitals. Can there be porneia without skin-to-skin contact? Say a brother lies down on top of his girlfriend while both are clothed and they simulate having sex. Are they committing porneia? They have their clothes on, but the genitals of both are being manipulated, so they've committed porneia, whether a climax is reached or not. That means that even some provocative forms of dancing, such as when a man rhythmically rubs his pelvis against the buttocks of a woman as she rubs herself against him, can also amount to porneia.
Hey Gary, if I kick you in the balls, does that constitute porneia?
What if a person fondles the genitals of another but doesn't actually masturbate them? For example, a brother sits on the lap of one of his male friends. His friend puts his arm around his waist and at one point fondles his crotch over his clothes. Is that porneia? Although the second man didn't go as far as masturbating the first, he is deliberately stimulating his genitals. Because there's fondling, caressing, stroking, or rubbing involved, this act constitutes porneia. What are the following situations? Two brothers masturbate in front of each other, but without touching each other. Is it porneia? The answer is no, since neither is touching the other person. However, it is a flagrant disregard for Jehovah's laws and a serious sin that has to be addressed by the elders. What the fuck? Bethel is a holy place. Finally, to keep clean before Jehovah, you have to fight against homosexual behavior. You've surely noticed that we've mentioned several situations involving homosexuality throughout this talk. Why do you think that is? Satan is desperately promoting this perverted practice. It's no exaggeration to say that he's flooded his world with propaganda in favor of homosexuality. It's not realistic to think that you can't be affected by his efforts just because you serve at Bethel. At times, you may find yourself struggling with same-sex desires, or you may realize that others are doing so. That doesn't mean that you or they are homosexuals, but it does mean that you have to keep on guard to remain holy. How can you do this? Examine your conduct carefully and honestly so that you avoid situations that can foster homosexual desires. For example, do you avoid unnecessarily exposing yourself to others, such as when you're in the locker room? Are you always modest, even in front of your roommates? Do you have the habit of excessively touching other brothers, hugging them tightly, slapping their buttocks, rubbing them, giving them massages, and so on? For instance, what do you think of the following situation? After exercising together, two single brothers go back to shower in a room. Afterwards, one gives the other, who's wearing only a towel, a massage. One or both of them get sexually aroused. They have put themselves in an extremely dangerous situation, don't you agree? Although Satan is waging war to influence people's thinking on the subject of homosexuality, Jehovah hasn't changed his view on the matter. Homosexuality is unholy and repugnant to Jehovah, and he will not tolerate it among his dedicated servants. Does your love for Jehovah move you to have the same view? We've identified several serious dangers which we have to keep on guard against to be clean before Jehovah. Of course, more is involved than just avoiding what's bad. What else do you need to do to keep your path clean? First, have a regular program of meaningful Bible study. When you regularly spend time with Jehovah by means of your Bible study, it will make your love for him and his commandments grow. Obeying him will make you happy. If you've been involved in unclean or questionable conduct, seek help from the elders right away. We love you and want to help you get on a clean path again. The governing body loves you too. It's our heartfelt prayer that you, our precious young brothers, will keep your path clean and joyfully walk in the law of Jehovah forever.